All right, ready to dive deep into the world of metal engraving.
Let's do it.
Specifically, how to totally ace that job interview.
We're going to get you that dream job.
We've got RoleCatcher's career and interview guides with us.
They've done all the research.
And because it's 2024,
We'll sprinkle in a little AI magic.
how AI can actually help you prep.
It's changing the game.
Even for hands-on stuff.
Stuff like metal engraving. But first,
Level set.
what does a metal engraver even do?
RoleCatcher put it beautifully. It's all about the intricate beauty of metal artwork.
Oh, so we're not just talking about, like, scratching your name on something.
Right, you're bringing designs to life.
On anything metal.
Jewelry, firearms,
Yeah.
even those super detailed decorative pieces.
Yeah, it's like a sculptor.
But with metal as your clay.
Which is something you want to get across in the interview.
Definitely.
That passion.
And precision.
Speaking of which, let's get tactical. RoleCatcher gave us 10 common interview questions.
All right.
We're going to break them down one by one.
Love it. Okay, first up, tell me about your experience working with various metals.
Sounds simple enough.
Right.
But they're not just checking boxes. What they really want to know is, how deep does your knowledge go?
So it's not like just listing the metals you've touched.
Nope. Each metal's got its own personality.
Okay.
How it reacts to the tools, how it takes a finish. They want a metal whisperer.
Not just someone who's played around with a few different types.
Right.
So don't rattle off a list like, oh yeah, I've used steel, brass, that silvery one.
Exactly. Give specific examples like, for this jewelry piece, I chose sterling silver because of its malleability.
Who could one?
And how it holds fine detail.
Boom. Expertise demonstrated.
Exactly. And always be ready for follow-up questions.
Oh, for sure. Like what?
They might go deeper on a specific metal. Like, okay, you mentioned titanium. What are the challenges of engraving that? Or even a hypothetical. You're designing a commemorative plaque. What metal do you choose and why?
Ooh, that's a good one. Testing your knowledge. Making you think on the spot. Okay, question number 2. What engraving techniques have you used in your previous work?
Time to show off those skills.
All those tools?
But again, it's not just a laundry list.
Right. You've got hand engraving, rotary engraving, laser engraving.
Each one's got its strengths.
They're listening for you to show when do you use which.
Proof you're not just a one-trick pony.
Okay.
Like, I use hand engraving for this piece because it gave me the fine detail the client wanted.
Makes sense.
But for a big project with a repeating pattern, laser engraving was the way to go.
For efficiency.
And precision.
Yeah, it's like picking the right spice. You wouldn't put chili flakes in a delicate souffle, would you?
Exactly.
So what kind of follow-up questions could come from this one?
Maybe describe a time you had to choose between 2 techniques and WHY.
Okay.
Or what are the limits of you? And they'll name a specific technique.
They want to know you're thinking strategically, not just following a recipe. Now, before we hit question 3, I think this is a good time to talk about the career path itself. RoleCatcher's career guide outlines 3 stages. Entry level.
Junior level.
And senior level.
Like leveling up in a video game.
Okay, I love that. So, entry level.
You're learning the ropes.
Assisting the masters.
Maybe doing some basic engraving, polishing, prepping materials.
Junior level.
Taking on more responsibility.
Maybe collaborating on designs.
Handling smaller projects solo.
And senior level.
You're the Yoda of engraving.
I love it.
Leading teams.
Mentoring the newbies.
Tackling those crazy, intricate designs that make everyone else go, whoa, how did they do that?
That's the goal. Now, RoleCatcher also gives it to you straight. They list pros and cons, which I actually think is super helpful.
I agree.
One of the cons they mention is the potential for repetitive strain injuries.
Yeah, it's meticulous work.
They can be tough on your hands and wrists.
But you can actually flip this into a positive in the interview.
Okay.
You say something like, I'm aware of how important ergonomics is. I've incorporated, and then name a specific technique or tool into my workflow to prevent strain.
You're showing you're proactive.
And you care about your long-term health.
Brilliant. Okay, back to those interview questions. Number 3. How do you ensure the accuracy and precision of your engraving work?
This one's all about showing you're not going to slip up and ruin that $10,000 heirloom.
Right. Like detail your systems.
Exactly. I use a high magnification loupe to inspect my work. I double-check all measurements before I start anything.
I have a specific routine for making sure everything's aligned.
You're proving you're meticulous, not just talented.
And anyone out there thinking, shh, I just eyeball it, good enough.
Ah!
Hard no.
That's not the confidence they're looking for.
What kind of follow-ups can we expect here?
They might ask, tell me about a time you caught a mistake before it was too late.
Oh, good one.
Or, how do you handle it when a client demands super fine detail?
You got to be ready for those curveballs.
They're testing your reflexes.
Seeing if you can adapt and still stay precise. Okay, one more question before we take a break and talk about the tech side of things. Number 4, how do you approach a project with a complex design?
This is like, they hand you a blueprint for a miniature spaceship.
And say, make this.
Exactly. Don't panic. This is where you show how methodical you are.
Like, first, I analyze the design, break it down into manageable sections. Then I create a step-by-step plan.
Do you start with outlines? Engrave in layers. They want to hear that thought process.
Not, I kind of wing it.
Right.
Winging it is for weekend hobbies, not when you're a pro.
And don't forget to mention communication.
Oh, good point.
Like, I keep the client updated, share my progress, and make sure we're on the same page throughout.
Teamwork.
Collaboration's key.
Yeah.
Especially with those complex designs.
What kind of follow-up might come from this?
They could say, tell me about a time your plan had to change mid-project.
Because of some unexpected challenge.
Exactly. They're testing how you adapt. Can you solve problems without going off track?
That was intense. When we come back, we're going to explore how AI tools like RoleCatcher can help fine-tune your answers for maximum impact.
Sounds good. I hope you all didn't spend the break practicing your engraving skills on the coffee table.
Oh, tempting. But I resisted. Okay, we were just talking about how you need a methodical approach for those complex designs.
Like a chess player planning their next move.
Right. But how does that apply to, say, question number 5? How do you ensure the safety of yourself and others in the workplace?
It's all connected.
Okay.
It's that methodical thinking. It applies to safety, too.
Okay.
What they're looking for is you're not just blindly following rules.
You understand why the rules exist.
Exactly.
It's like, instead of, yeah, I wear safety glasses, it's...
I know engraving certain metals can release fine dust particles, so I always wear a respirator and make sure there's proper ventilation.
Whoa, okay. Dropping knowledge bombs already.
It's that extra detail.
Tell us you're not just thinking about yourself.
You're a responsible team member.
I also make sure to keep my workspace clean and organized to avoid trips and falls. And I always check my equipment in good working order.
See, safety's a mindset.
Not just a checklist.
Now, what if they follow up with something like, describe a time you spotted a potential safety hazard, and what did you do about it?
Okay.
Or what safety protocols do you specifically follow when working with? And they'll name a metal or a technique.
They're really getting into the nitty-gritty. Okay, remember those career stages we talked about earlier?
Yeah.
Knowing where you are in your progression can be really helpful.
Absolutely. Like, let's say they ask about a technique you haven't mastered yet.
Your entry level.
You can be honest. I'm still developing my skills in that area, but I've been observing more experienced engravers. I'm eager to learn.
So much better than making something up.
Honesty and that willingness to learn,
Yeah.
that goes a long way.
Agreed. All right, back to the questions. Number 6. How do you ensure the quality of your work meets the client's expectations?
It's like you have to be a mind reader.
But with engraving tools...
Right, you've got to get their vision out of their head and into the metal.
Okay.
Emphasize active listening. I always take detailed notes. Ask questions to make sure I'm 100% clear on what they need.
I'm not just engraving their design, I'm engraving their story. Boom.
That's it.
Mic drop.
It's about that personal touch. Going above and beyond the technical stuff.
And it's okay to talk about managing expectations.
Definitely. If a client asks for something that's really difficult or might damage the piece, I would talk to them honestly about other options.
You're the expert.
Right.
You're not just taking orders, you're helping them get the best result.
Exactly.
Now, what if they follow up with, tell me about a time you had to deal with a really demanding client. How did you handle it?
Oh, that's a good one.
Or, how do you give constructive feedback if their design just isn't going to work?
Those are tough.
They're testing your people skills. Can you be assertive, but keep the client happy? That's a valuable skill no matter what you do.
Very true. Speaking of valuable skills, I want to circle back to something we mentioned earlier.
AI.
Yes, it's changing everything.
RoleCatcher uses AI to help you tailor your CV and practice your answers.
It's like having a career coach right in your pocket.
I know. It's wild. So how does that work?
Their AI looks at job descriptions and pulls out the keywords and skills employers want.
Okay.
Then it suggests how to tweak your CV.
And even your answers in the interview. to highlight the stuff they care about.
So you're not sending out generic applications. You're creating ones that are laser-focused.
And way more likely to get noticed.
Right. And the feedback on practice answers is amazing.
What do you mean?
It's not just what you say, but how you say it.
Oh, interesting.
The AI analyzes your tone, your pacing, even your facial expressions.
Wow.
It gives you tips on how to come across as more confident and engaging.
Like a virtual director for your interview.
Exactly. Okay, back to the questions. Number 7. How do you stay up to date with new engraving techniques and technologies?
You got to show you're not stuck in the past.
Continuous learning. It's important in any field, but especially one where the technology's always changing.
So what do you say?
Talk about industry events, workshops, online courses.
Okay.
I recently went to a conference on, and then name a hot new technology. And I've been trying out, whatever new technique you're into in my personal projects.
Shows you're passionate. And that you keep learning.
Great. They might ask, what's a new technology or technique you're excited about, and why?
Oh, that's fun.
It's your chance to geek out a little.
Show your enthusiasm.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right, question number 8. Can you give an example of a challenging project you worked on and how you overcame the issues?
Classic interview question. All about showing how you solve problems.
It's story time. But pick a project where you faced a real obstacle.
Something that really tested you.
Like, I was working on this really intricate piece, and the metal kept warping during the engraving.
Oh, no.
I had to research different annealing techniques, adjust my engraving depth.
And what happened?
Don't forget to highlight the outcome. In the end, I delivered a perfect piece. And I learned a valuable lesson about, whatever you took away from it.
You turned that challenge into a win.
Exactly.
And the interviewer might follow up with, what did you learn from that?
Yeah.
Or how has that changed how you approach those kinds of projects now?
They want to see that you're always growing.
Speaking of growth, let's think about career progression for a second.
Okay.
Those senior level engravers, they didn't just magically get there.
No.
They put in the time, work through those tough projects.
And learned from mistakes.
It's a journey.
It is.
And knowing that helps you set realistic goals for your own career.
Absolutely. Okay, on to question number 9.
Okay, hit me.
How do you prioritize and manage your workload? This is where you prove you can handle the pressure.
No crumbling under deadlines.
I use a combination of to-do lists and project management software. Keep track of deadlines, prioritize tasks. I also communicate with clients regularly.
You're setting expectations.
Making sure everyone's on the same page.
It's like your air traffic control for your projects.
I like that.
Making sure everything lands on time.
Nice. Now imagine they ask, tell me about a time you had multiple deadlines at once. How'd you make sure everything got done?
They're really testing you.
They want to see your time management skills.
Okay, last question in this set. How do you ensure the confidentiality of client information?
This is about trust.
Professionalism.
I understand how important discretion is. I always treat client information as confidential. I store data securely, use password-protected devices, and never discuss projects outside of work.
You're like a vault, keeping their secrets safe.
Right. What kind of follow-ups could come from this one?
Maybe. Have you ever been in a situation where confidentiality was breached? What did you do?
Ooh, that's a tough one.
Or, how would you handle a client who wants to remain completely anonymous?
These are getting tricky.
They're seeing how you handle ethical situations.
All right. We tackled all 10 questions, but before we wrap up this part, I want to circle back to AI. It's not just about prep anymore.
Right.
Some companies are using AI to do the initial screening of candidates.
Oh, wow.
It's like a virtual gatekeeper.
Okay, so how do you ace an interview with a robot?
Treat it just like a regular interview. That AI, it's looking at your answers for keywords, your tone, how engaged you are.
So don't try to trick it or use super formal language.
Just be yourself.
Yeah.
Authenticity matters, even in the digital world.
That's great advice. Okay, we'll be right back for the final part of our Metal Engraver interview prep. Stay with us. We're back for the final stretch of our Metal Engraver interview prep marathon.
We've covered the tough questions, talked career paths, even explored AI a bit.
It's a lot, but I feel like we're missing something.
Mindset.
Okay, yeah, like you could have all the right answers, but if you don't have the right attitude.
It's like having a beautifully engraved piece, but it's missing that final polish.
I love that analogy.
Uh-huh.
So where do we start with this mindset makeover?
Let's revisit RoleCatcher's career guide, the pros and cons section.
Oh, right. We kind of skimmed over that.
It's not just there to scare you off. Understanding the downsides. It shows you've really thought about this career.
They mention things like The physical demands of the job.
Potential for repetitive strain injuries.
That could be a solitary profession.
Right. So how do we turn these into positives in the interview?
Yeah, how?
You have to showcase your problem-solving skills. Don't just say, yeah, it's hard on the hands.
What do you say?
I'm aware of how important ergonomics is. I've incorporated regular stretching into my routine, and I use a custom-designed workstation to minimize strain.
You've taken a potential negative,
Yeah.
shown that you're proactive.
And you care about your long-term health.
And what about the solitary part? Some people love working alone, but some people don't.
If you're someone who likes to collaborate, you can talk about how you actively seek out other engravers.
Like online forums,
The industry events.
even just virtual coffee chats,
Shows you're building your network.
turning those drawbacks into strengths.
Nice.
And of course, don't forget about the pros.
The creative freedom.
Earning potential.
The satisfaction of creating something unique.
Let your enthusiasm shine through.
It's contagious.
Okay, let's talk about first impressions. They're so important.
Absolutely.
Obviously, dress professionally, be on time, but what are some other things that can make a difference?
Body language.
Okay.
Make eye contact. Firm handshake. Good posture.
Project confidence.
And don't forget to smile.
A genuine smile goes a long way.
It makes you more approachable.
It's like a secret weapon. What about energy level?
Well, yeah, you don't want to be bouncing off the walls, but you also don't want to seem bored.
Find that balance.
Enthusiasm and professionalism.
Okay, here's a question that always throws people off.
Yeah.
Tell me about yourself.
Seems simple, but it's tough.
You can't just tell your whole life story.
Right. You need to highlight the skills and experiences that match what they're looking for.
And show why you love metal engraving.
Exactly.
So how do we create that perfect elevator pitch?
Think about the top 3 or 4 things you want them to remember about you.
Years of experience.
Your special,
Any big achievements.
or even a unique approach you have.
Yeah.
And then put it all together in a short, engaging story.
Give me an example.
I've been passionate about metal engraving since I was a kid. I used to spend hours in my grandfather's workshop. Over the years, I've really honed my skills in, and then list a few techniques. I'm especially drawn to whatever type of projects you like. What excites me most about this opportunity is, and then tie it back to the company or the role.
It's personal, it's relevant, makes them want to know more.
Exactly.
Okay, quick AI check-in.
Okay.
We talked about how RoleCatcher can help you with your CV and practice answers,
Right.
but it's also changing how interviews are done.
A lot of companies are using AI for the first round of screening.
Which can be kind of scary.
It's understandable to feel that way, but that AI is still judging you based on what humans think is important.
So what? Should you act differently?
Treat it just like a normal interview.
Be yourself.
Speak clearly, be professional.
And don't get discouraged if you don't make it past that AI screening.
It might just not be the right fit.
Keep learning, keep practicing, keep applying.
I like that.
All right, as we wrap up our deep dive into the world of metal engraving interview prep,
Yes.
I want to leave you with one thought. Believe in yourself. You have the skills, you have the passion.
Now you have the knowledge.
Go into that interview room or that video call knowing your worth.
Be confident and showcase your talent.
And remember, an interview goes both ways. It's not just them evaluating you, you're evaluating them too.
Ask yourself, is this a company where you can grow?
Do their values match yours?
Asking questions shows you're not just looking for any job. You're looking for the right job.
Well said. That's all the time we have for today's deep dive. We hope you found these tips helpful.
Good luck with your job search.
And don't forget to check out RoleCatcher and all their amazing AI tools. Until next time, happy engraving.